As you saw in the intro, Scott Bessent predicts the AI-driven economic boom starting as soon as Q1 of next year. Now, this brings up the big question, ladies and gentlemen. I would love to hear your opinion. If you wouldn't mind, give me a comment down below. Do you think UBI is coming? Universal Basic Income. Is that a thing that's really going to happen here in the United States? Let me know down in the comment section. I was talking to a friend of mine today, and he was talking about how in Chicago, this is already a real thing. Now, I live in Southern California, Orange County. We don't really have universal basic income that I know of here. I know that some people are saying that these illegals living in the United States for free are already on universal basic income because they get free healthcare, free food stamps, free money, and all of that. Was that a test pilot run to see if it's a possibility in the United States? But let me know down in the comment section, in your state, have you noticed that there is universal basic income? Because the AI-driven economic boom that's coming is actually going to be displacing tons and tons of people out of jobs. So they're going to have to figure something out. Also, do you think this AI economic boom that's coming where literally no one will have jobs to where literally they will have to have universal basic income? You can even hear Elon Musk talks about this a lot. But could it be awesome to where you could literally just go live your life, go do things that's great? You don't have to make money in any way. You have a certain amount of money to go and become whatever you want to become. Is utopia a real option? Let me know your opinion down below. Next up, NASDAQ files with the SEC to allow tokenization and blockchain listing of stocks. And if you remember yesterday, we talked about the CEO of Robinhood who came out and said it's time to move beyond Bitcoin and meme coins into real world assets, literally taking everything on chain. And you are continuing to hear about the world currency reset. Is this happening? Well, Russia is starting to get worried that the United States is literally trying to do this. Russia just announced that the United States is using crypto to wipe out its $35 trillion debt. Putin's advisor says Washington will shove debt into stablecoins, devalue it, and reset the system. And this has already been proven because this is what they say out loud. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has come out and said that's what they want to do. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has told us that's what they're going to do. Now, what do they mean by this? Well, as of right now, these stable coins are going to have to be backed $1 to $1, right? So how does that happen? Well, the stablecoin companies, issuers, are going to have to buy bonds from the United States that no one else wants right now because it's trash, because the United States is in 3.5 or $35 trillion worth of debt, meaning other countries don't think we're ever going to get out of debt, meaning the country/company United States is going into bankruptcy. But what if you could just wash it all away by moving this debt through bonds into stablecoins, creating a new reserve currency, still backed by one-to-one with the United States, aka United States dollar, but the reality, it's just a stablecoin. This was a great post by Peter St. Ong, who says jobs are down 600,000, which we talked a lot about over the last couple of days so far this year, the worst since 2008 crisis. But control for deportations and federal layoffs, which we talked about the last couple of days as well. People are deported. They're losing their jobs. People are being laid off at these big bloated bureaucracies within our government. Federal layoffs are happening, but we've actually gained 600,000 jobs. If the Fed gets out of the way, meaning cut rates, interest rates, it could get into the millions as far as job creation, because right now, all these small jobs and large companies don't have the ability to borrow large sums of money, which they can then pay payroll to their employees. So right now, they're running on a lean machine. That's why you're seeing some companies are doing layoffs. In fact, some companies are doing massive layoffs. But what if they had a bunch of extra liquidity that they didn't have to lay these people off so they could utilize that extra labor to continue to grow their company, which ultimately that's what the shareholders want, is the ability to grow the company so that way they can increase income and revenue.
Jobs are crashing with employment levels down 600,000 since January, according to the BLS. Now, there's mostly interest rates, but dig down and it's not nearly as bad as it looks. Assuming the job numbers are true, this is the BLS. That's the weakest year-to-date for jobs since the 2008 financial crisis. While Donald Trump blames the Fed for strangling interest rates, mainstream media is, of course, blaming Trump. For the Associated Press, it's, quote, economic uncertainty driven by Trump's policies. CNN says it's uncertainty plus tariffs. The Guardian blamed Trump and AI. But there's a much bigger factor driving the jobs numbers: deportations. According to BLS, the immigrant labor force has fallen by 1.25 million in the 6 months since Trump took office. That's over 200,000 per month. Census estimates the foreign-born population fell 1.9 million, which is 300,000 per month. Now, some of this was deportations, but most was self-deportations, people leaving so they don't end up in Alligator Alcatraz. Now, this is in line with previous mass deportations under Eisenhower and FDR, where 8 to 10 illegals leave voluntarily for every one forcibly deported. It also means if you lost 1.25 million foreign workers but only 600,000 employed persons, it's actually a 600,000 job gain for Americans, which puts jobs right in line with the average since 2000. So it looks like we're losing jobs, but actually we're losing population. Smaller country, fewer jobs. To illustrate, we've seen a string of warnings from companies catering to Hispanic consumers like Modelo or Goya, who won't put it in words, but apparently we're getting a lot of their sales from illegals. Now, combine a shrinking population with the fact we've also laid off over 100,000 federal workers, plus maybe 50,000 in taxpayer-funded NGOs, and it suggests underlying job growth is actually substantially higher than it's been since 2000. In other words, jobs would be a lot better with rate cuts. We had 2 million per year in Trump's first term before COVID, but they're still surprisingly good even with the rates. Note, deportation and federal layoffs feed to the other big economic numbers. So GDP has been weak all year, just over 1%, while University of Michigan's widely cited consumer sentiment has also been weak all year. Now, both automatically fall with deportations and federal layoffs, since GDP bizarrely counts migrant welfare and government waste as production, while both migrants and federal workers, of course, buy stuff. They are consumers. So jobs are down, GDP is down, consumer spending is down, and a lot of it is actually good for American workers. So it's next brought to you by I Trust Capital.
So an interesting take when you dig a little deeper onto the real stats and what's really going on. So the big news right now is that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent threatened to punch Pulte in the face, Bill Pulte, who is in charge of the housing and financial department in the current administration. The Wednesday evening event was supposed to be one of celebration. It was both the much anticipated inaugural dinner at the executive branch, the ultra exclusive Georgetown Club, created by and for Trump's uber rich, and a birthday party at the same time for MAGA friendly podcaster Chamath. But amid the cocktail hour dinner, Bessent lashed out at Pulte in an expletive laden diatribe. The Treasury Secretary had heard from several people that Federal Housing Finance Agency director had been bad-mouthing him to Trump, which no one wants to be bad-mouthed to Trump because you want to be on the inside and not have any secrets behind the back. He wasn't about to engage in chit-chat as if nothing was amiss. So he goes up and says, "Why the F are you talking to the president about me? F you. I'm going to punch you in the effing face." Pulte appeared stunned, and the tense encounter prompted club owner and financier Omid Malik to intervene, according to 3 people. But Bessent wasn't having it. He sought off to kick him out. Bessent went on to say, "It's either me or him. You tell me who's getting the F out of here." Or, he added, "We could go outside." Pulte then responded back, "To do what? To talk?" "No," Bessent replied, "I'm gonna beat your effing butt." During the seated dinner, Bessent and Pulte were placed on the opposite ends of the table at the party went off without any further episode. And relatedly, Bessent and Pulte have been on opposite sides of the debate about whether Trump should fire Federal Reserve Jerome Powell. Bessent had privately cautioned that such a decapitation would destabilize financial markets. Pulte, on the other hand, has repeatedly called on Powell to resign and has taken the position that Trump has the power to fire the chair for cause based on his alleged mismanagement of costly Fed headquarters renovations. Pulte even gave Trump a draft letter firing Powell, the Washington Post reported. Before we get into XRP outperforming Bitcoin this cycle, the largest node package manager attack ever has been found and stopped. Hackers broke into the node package manager NPN account of a well-known software developer and added malware to popular JavaScript libraries targeting crypto wallets. Hackers have only managed to steal $50 worth of crypto from a massive supply chain hack affecting JavaScript software libraries, industry security researchers say. Picture this. You compromise the account of a NPM developer whose packages are downloaded more than 2 billion times per week. You could have unfettered access to millions of developer workstations. Untold riches await you. The world is your oyster. Your profit? Less than $50. Crypto projects that didn't download the NPM still at risk. The breach targeted packages such as Chalk, Strip ANSI, and Color Convert, small utilities buried deep into the dependency trees in countless projects. Even devs who never installed them directly could be exposed. NPM is like an app store for developers, a central library where they share and download small code packages to build JavaScript projects. Ledger's chief technology officer, Charles Guillemette, was among many who have urged crypto users to proceed with caution when confirming on-chain transactions. In a separate post, Ledger said its devices weren't directly affected by the NPM attack. You won't be instantly drained, crypto founder says. Only crypto projects that updated after the malware-infected NPM package was published may be at risk, and even then, users must approve the malicious transaction for it to work.